I had a little technical issue there. Created 2 streams. Oh my god, what happened here? This is crazy. StreamYard reset everything in between shows. I don't understand why. It's messing with my mic volume. It's messing with the camera. Let's see here. Make sure the definition is right. Says I'm already live in 720p. All right, I guess that's how it's going to be. Sorry, everybody. Weird start to a show. It froze up when I was creating one. Then I had to create a different one. And then I went into YouTube to delete the one that it said didn't get created, but apparently did actually. So I'm hoping this is right. I see a chat room is live. If you guys are seeing me, someone out there just give me a quick yeah, Dan, everything's going okay. And then we'll actually start the show for real. Give me just one person. Give me a you can see me and this is working. It's blurry. For fart's sake. I don't know what's going on right now. StreamYard doinked on me, and let's make sure that. All right, you know what? I'm going to delete the one. You guys are just going to watch me work through this. I think I deleted the one that didn't exist. Let's make sure that there's only one going right now. I think that's right. Not officially recording yet. We got Pixelated Dan on this one. Delightful. All right, guys, I'm going to walk away for just a second. We'll come back. We'll get the show started. If it's pixelated for all of you, I'm assuming that means that there is indeed something screwball going on. So just sit tight. We'll give you a couple seconds of music, and then we'll. All right, second verse, same as the first. I think we're going now. Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the morning here on Fantasy NBA Today. This is your standard recap show. This one will be a pretty easy one, actually. Just 2 games yesterday, and from a fantasy standpoint, I'll squeeze whatever I can out of it. You guys know I'm always going to wring out every ounce of goo from a box score, but the honest fellow within me will tell you right now, this show we can move through a pretty good clip. I'm Dan Baspris. I hope I'll see you guys over on social at Dan Baspris. Please take a moment to subscribe to the YouTube page. That is the big thing. Liking is also cool. Subscriptions are the number one. And we'll tell you about Manscaped as we work our way through this thing in a little bit. So let's just go ahead and dive in because, 2 shows and I'm just one man. And frankly, I'd like to do whatever else needs to get done on the day. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat room here that was helping me work through this very weird little technical issue with StreamYard. And it seems like we're fine now. So yesterday, the IST, the in-season tournament, also known as the NBA Cup, opened up its quarterfinals. Indiana hosting the Boston Celtics. Everybody just figured Boston was going to run away with this one. I was really surprised to see Tyrese Haliburton recover from his illness as fast as he did, but presumably it's not the one that a lot of these guys have that's like knocking dudes on their butt. And Haliburton, by the way, he was fine. 26, 10, and 13, a triple-double. I think that's the first of his career. I might be getting that wrong, though. 5 3-pointers, 10 out of 18 shooting. This dude is unreal, man. This dude is unfreaking real. Haliburton is number 3 in 9-count right now, and he's basically neck and neck with Nikola Jokic, if you can believe that. Wild. He's ahead of Joel Embiid. They're all trying to chase down Shea, who's at 2.5 steals a ball game, and that's been a big reason why he's as high as he is. But, man, you got to put up some serious popcorn numbers to be at the top of the board. Shout out to Haliburton for doing just that and for being one of the guys that we were talking about targeting. Remember, right at the beginning? Top 4. And not that we were, all by ourselves with this one, but Jokic, sort of the obvious number 1, and not he's behind Shea, but you're not going to feel bad about drafting Jokic 1 and he's number 2 right now. Number 2, I was like, look, I'm between Embiid Shea and Haliburton there. If you're worried about the health, you go Shea or Haliburton. If you want big scoring, you go Embiid. And now, frankly, at this moment, if you gone any one of those directions, you'd have effectively the number 2 player in fantasy. So far, so good on the top of the board handicap. We'll see if it holds. Anyway, the rest of the news on yesterday's game will veer away from the guy who's 100% owned and 100% started and into the news, which is that Kristaps Porzingis is hoping to make his return later this week for the Celtics. They now don't play again until Friday, which means he has another, 3 days, today, tomorrow, Thursday, to recover, and then most of Friday. Presumably, with a little bit of a whimper, unfortunately, this is the end of the road for the Al Horford fill-in stream. It was a lot of fun, and I got a clown on Yahoo or someone. I think Yahoo gets their blurbs from Roto World. I don't know, but their last Al Horford blurb made me laugh and then cry and then laugh again and then understand why you and I, you listeners, me, our friends, are just destroying a lot of people in fantasy. Listen to this recap. The advice. I'm sorry, I'm picking on somebody. I don't know what kid is learning how to do blurbs over there that I'm picking on here. So apologies in advance. Anyway, the blurb says Horford's usage has spiked during Kristaps Porzingis' absence. That's true, but his tenure in the starting lineup has been rocky. Oh, has it now? Through 5 starts, he's reached double-digit scoring only once. Oh, is that right? Even though there was a 20 and a 16 in back-to-back games? Okay. And a 15 rebound explosion against the Hawks makes his 7.4 per game rebound average more impressive than it appears. Boy. This is... I'm sorry. You know me. I'm not out here to go pick on anybody. But this blurb, this advice being given to everyone who clicks the little button on Al Horford on Yahoo is some of the worst fantasy advice I've ever seen. What did we just talk about yesterday on our show? What was Al Horford ranked since Kristaps Porzingis went down before that last ball game? You guys remember? Number 9. He is a first rounder since Kristaps Porzingis went down. Who gives a crap if his rebounds were at 7 and change? Nobody. Because in his last 6 ball games, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think Porzingis actually played in that, and I could try to do it. I could try to get even more accurate. How long has he missed? Porzingis has only missed 4 ball games, by the way. So what we should really be doing here is looking at last 4 games. I'll do that. Basketball Monster lets me do that on their site. Thank you, BBM, for that. Over the last 4 games, you guys want to know what Al Horford's rank is, even after this quieter ball game? 17. Is that what you'd call a rocky tenure in the starting lineup? 11 points, 9.5 rebounds, 1.5 threes, 4 assists, a steal, 2 blocks on 61% shooting from the field, and a perfect 4 for 4 at the free throw line. That's rocky? Stop it. Over these 4 games, Al Horford has been one of the best injury replacement players in the NBA over the last half decade. How many guys go from being outside the top 100 to a second rounder? Not many. That's brutal, man. That is absolutely brutal. People are reading that and thinking, oh, yeah, good thing I didn't pick up Al Horford for this terrible rocky fill-in it's been. Good gravy. Even yesterday, by the way, with a 2-point effort, look, admittedly, that's a clunky game. 7 boards, 4 assists, and a block. Stop it. You know, I believe that fantasy sports gets more competitive every year, but I'm a little bit worried that if this is what everybody's going to read, that they're going to end up with a whole lot of points league type of teams trying to win 9-cat. Al Horford in points league yesterday, that was a really bad line. But, I mean, most people on Yahoo are not playing points leagues. You want to throw that blurb up on ESPN? Maybe it'd make more sense. Yikes. Big yikes. Make sure to get your fantasy info from Sports Ethos. Good Lord. Other news on yesterday, Sam Hauser hit 5 3-pointers. Nice little 3-pointer fill-in type streamer. Jaylen Brown had 30. We talked about him and fouled out. on our Buy Low show just a few minutes ago. Buddy Hield, another nice game in the starting lineup. He's been top 40 since he moved into the starting five. Bruce Brown is finally getting cooking. And then Obi Toppin, who, look, this is a perfectly fine ball game, mostly because of the 2 blocks, but the minutes are back down to 26 because Aaron Nesmith was playing really well off the bench. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the way that things go in Indiana. You're going to get hot handitis, and it works for him. Look, it's annoying. It's not like I can say, Rick Carlisle, you're a terrible coach, because his Pacers are 11-8. They just beat a very good Boston team to advance in this in-season tournament. They're the number 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. But from a fantasy standpoint, it's extraordinarily annoying. We would like them to just pick 5 or 6 guys to get consistent minutes, and it's just not going to be the case. We should consider ourselves, I think, extremely fortunate that they finally moved Buddy Hield into the starting lineup, and now he gets a more consistent 24 to 32 minutes. But that unfortunately means that everybody else is splitting even fewer. Shorter rotation in this one, at least. Anyway, as far as in-week streamer goes, all of these guys are playable. Anybody that got more than 20 minutes in this game, you can play for their next one on Thursday. But, 9-cat, Roto, long-term type stuff, Toppin, Mathurin, Nesmith, none of those guys actually makes any sense. And then remember, the Celtics don't play again until Friday. So if you were streaming someone on the Celtics, you probably want to get off of them now. Other game yesterday was also pretty fun. New Orleans beat Sacramento 127-117. Herb Jones, a giant ball game. He's come roaring back after 2 or 3 kind of quiet ones. And again, I'll repeat what I said on yesterday's show. Everybody in fantasy, with the exception of the top 20, and even that's stretching it, has down stretches. Everybody. Herb Jones, the guys like Herb Jones, it's just going to be more obvious because they don't score very much. Nick Claxton is at 12 and some odd points per game. Brook Lopez is at 13 and some odd. So when these are guys that are inside the top 30. When those dudes have a few games where they don't do a lot of stuff, it's going to be really obvious because it's going to be like a 6.2 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal game. And you're going, what in the world am I doing holding on to this guy? But then you have to remember averages. Just yell that word inside your brain. Let it bang off of each corner of your dome. Every time someone in that sort of quiet but awesome 9-cap producer category has a quiet game, just have your brain scream averages. Because Herb this year is at 1.8 steals, 1.3 blocks, 52-88 splits, 12, 4, and 3, and that puts him inside the top 30. Son of a gun's that ranked ahead of Kyrie Irving right now. And obviously, a lot of that has to do with what you're approaching. But if you're thinking it's because he's a turnover darling, it's not. It's because he's a percentages, steals, and blocks darling, which are my 4 favorite categories to attack because nobody else pays attention to them. That was a lot to say that Herb Jones was an obvious hold for a long time. CJ McCollum traveled for this ball game. That's nice to see. So every day his little lung situation gets a little better. You're playing the starting 5 for the Pels right now, and you're also playing Trey Murphy, who wasn't quite as good in this ball game as his first one back. But honestly, it doesn't matter. You can't worry about the game to game. He still had 16 points and 3 threes, even if he didn't really do anything else. I'm enamored with the 30 minutes and 13 shots. That's more than enough to get Trey Murphy inside the top 100, and that's all you should be paying attention to as well, because everything else will level off. If the minutes and the shots are there, you have nothing to worry about. For Sacramento, the guy that we've been sort of quietly tracking all season long was Malik Monk, and I just kept saying it over and over again through the first, I guess it was 4 weeks. I can't put this dude on my fantasy team if he's playing 22 minutes a ball game. Well, luckily, he ain't anymore. Over the last 2 weeks, Monk is playing 28 minutes, despite De'Aaron Fox being in the lineup. He's shooting 48% from the field, which maybe that doesn't hold, and he's made something like 20 straight free throws, which also won't perfectly hold, but he is a good foul shooter. 18 points, 3 assists, 1.3 steals, and 3 3-pointers over that stretch. Yeah, he's playing over his head, but the 28 minutes is enough. Malik Monk in 28 minutes is a top 100 guy with a little bit of room to grow over that, depending on what role he has. And then obviously if Fox ever misses a ball game, then his role leaps through the top of the building. But this is why we tracked him for all that time. As soon as the minutes started to trend up, he's a guy that needed to be rostered in every format, and so you're playing him now. Kevin Huerter, also a quiet play. Keegan Murray is on my buy low board from earlier today. He left and then came back in this ball game, still kind of dealing with that back injury. But again, 31 minutes, 11 shots, 4 3-pointers. As his percentages level off, you're golden. Domantas Sabonis also jumped about 20 slots by finally hitting some free throws in this ball game on his way to a triple-double. And then De'Aaron Fox had sort of points league De'Aaron Fox in this ball game. And dropped himself outside the top 25 because of it. But, therein lies the rub with him. He's going to take a ton of shots. He took 25 of them in this ball game. But if he's not making those, the free throws are not going to be great. The turnovers are high. He's going to be awesome in a lot of stuff that points leagues don't care about. But he's a negative in all 3 categories that points leagues care about. The turnovers actually haven't been that big of a deal for him so far this year. He's going to be fun. I don't want you guys to misinterpret what I'm saying. But when he was number 8, it was pretty obvious that that was something that was going to trend down. Anything else that we needed to talk about in this ball game? Not really. I mean, that's the 2-gamer yesterday. I guess you could point and sort of side-eye Jose Alvarado, but 18 minutes ain't enough there. And, yeah, that's it for the recap from yesterday. So let's just sort of quickly pivot into the 2 games coming up on the in-season tournament docket this evening, as I once again remind all of you to please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to our YouTube page, and visit our pals over at manscaped.com. Use coupon code ETHOS20, ETHOS20 to get 20% off on your order and free shipping. The holiday season is upon you. This is the time to go get something over at Manscaped. They are really awesome products. 40, 50, 60 bucks for some of the models that came out last year. If you want to go a little bigger, you can. Depends on how important the person is in your life. But either way, with our 20% coupon off, that with free shipping, you knock that $60 item down to $48. Awesome. You're set. Who is it in your life that you're not willing to spend 48 bucks on to get him a sweet Manscaped item? Ethos20. That's the promo code there. Use it up, use it quick, and get yourself Hanukkah or Christmas presents with the special Sports Ethos code. As far as tonight goes, I mean, more than anything, it's about streaming this evening. We could talk about things that we're watching for, like, is Josh Hart going to get 30 minutes again? Is Bobby Portis able to do more than just points and rebounds? For Phoenix, can anyone make any noise besides the main 3? For the Lakers, do any of those sort of fringy wing types elevate themselves above the rest? But more than anything, not only are you trying to stream, but you're probably trying to stream the guys that you think are going to win, so they'll play again on Thursday, and you get 2 quality days out of 1 roster move. So Bucks favored by 5, Lakers favored by 1.5. That second call game, honestly, I think the Suns are going to win it. Lakers have played pretty well lately, but they've also beaten Phoenix twice already this season, and now Devin Booker has a chance to sort of lean into this one. Milwaukee's going to be a tough one to beat. They're on their home court, but Knicks are going to give it their all. That's coming, and they'll defend, which Milwaukee has had a couple of problems with teams that can defend a little better. But again, like, if you're looking at it for streams, unfortunately, there isn't much on that Milwaukee side. Pat Connaughton would have been the guy, but he's already been ruled out for the week. So, I mean, what are we even trying to accomplish with them at this point? Like, who's left? Campaign, he'll probably get about 18 minutes, 19 minutes. Marjon Beauchamp, he might get 15, 16 minutes. Bucks are going to be heavy on the starters and Bobby Portis. So there aren't that many streaming opportunities, unfortunately. The Knicks are the team of that first matchup that has the streaming list. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. I don't think I'd go Quentin Grimes, but Emmanuel Quickley, Isaiah Hartenstein. Not that these guys are going to put up massive numbers, but you'll get something out of them in a way that I don't know that you're going to get much from anybody on the Milwaukee side. And then Lakers Suns, I'd rather get a Laker because they've got Cam Reddish, they've got Taurean Prince. These guys are probably on the wire and streamable, but I also don't think they're going to win this ball game. So I'd be looking at the Suns and saying, all right, like, is Eric Gordon going to play? What's the deal with Grayson Allen? Josh Okogie is a maybe. Jordan Goodwin is kind of a maybe. If Eric Gordon is out, he becomes a better maybe. So the streaming list is before you all, but we don't really know who's in, who's out yet, especially for the Suns more than anybody else. So you probably want to wait a little bit later into the day. But if you wait later into the day to figure out who's playing for Phoenix, you might miss your chance to get a Laker. So maybe the answer is just to go Cam Reddish or Taurean Prince and hope that the Lakers can squeak one out here against the Suns. I don't actually have the answer to that question. I know you guys turn to me for definitive, like, dig your heel in answers on stuff, but sometimes there isn't an obvious one, especially at 10 something in the morning here Pacific, when the games don't happen for another 5 or 6 hours and the late game for another 8 or 9. Such is life, I fear, at times where there's a gray area. But those are the names, at least on the streaming board. You heard them from Derek Ball on yesterday's show. And, if you want to make your move this morning, you might not have a choice but to do it. So, maybe you just do it. As far as what are we watching long-term for Phoenix and LA? Pretty much nothing. Maybe we get a sniff of Bradley Beal in the next week or two. Supposedly, he's being reevaluated around now. Let me triple check on that timeline. I had it written down 3 days ago, but that note has been lost for the ages. He last played on November 12th. So the 19th, the 26th, day or two ago was 3 weeks. Last update we got was, I think, yesterday or the day before, where still no real timetable on him. So there's your 3-week mark, meaning there's really nothing. Eric Gordon is head-to-head. You're praying that he has a better type night, but none of these guys are roto-built. None of these guys are rest-of-season plays on either team, especially as the Lakers ramp Jared Vanderbilt up and ramp Rui Hachimura up and maybe eventually get Gabe Vincent back. Meh. We got a whole lot of meh on that nightcap. But the good news for those of you that are hanging out with us here on the show is that because we have nothing else to talk about on the card, we can do a few questions. Do Wemby and Chet, we'll go straight to the chat room, do Wemby and Chet just get better as the season rolls on? In parentheses, I don't know how much better Chet can get, though, LOL. Where do you think they land in rankings by the end of the season? That's a good question, actually. So I think Chet probably slows a tiny bit. The 53, 40, 87 splits for him, I don't know that those hold all season long. But he was, as you guys might recall, the one truly young guy on the Dan Vesper's old man squad, because we knew that his stat set was going to translate unbelievably well. For Wembanyama, honestly, I don't know that his game changes all that much in season. He's going to have to get stronger. I like the flexibility element, but he's going to have to add a little bit of strength. And at some point, the season's just going to kind of wear him down a little bit. Same story for Holmgren. So, honestly, I think Chet, you see, settle back in. Wemby, this is, not too far from what I'd expect from him. Field goal percent and turnovers are always going to be the things that we're going to limit him a little bit. But these guys are putting up insane numbers, and I think you probably just want to ride it out more than anything else. Not that anybody's trading either of them. If you could sell Holmgren for a top 15 to 20 guy, you could do it. I don't think that'd be the worst idea in the world, but I also think you'd have just as much fun seeing how it goes. Who's better rest of season, OG Anunoby or Derek White? That's one that hasn't come up yet. Interesting. Let's see. Derek White's number 52. OG is outside the top 100. Yeah, even if OG catches up, I don't think he passes him. So we're going Derek White. I just traded Haliburton for Harden and JJJ. The playoff schedule means a lot. Your thoughts on this? Well, my thought is that we don't all have the same exact playoff schedule, but if you're confident your team can get there and you're adding a whole bunch of games played, it's not the worst idea in the world. I hate trading away a top 3 fantasy player. That's a good player. And do the Pacers have a terrible playoff schedule? I guess it depends on when they are. There's they've got a back-to-back 3-gamer mixed in there. I don't think that I'm giving up Haliburton. I don't think I'm trading away any guys unless they have a 2-game week in the playoffs. Minnesota, the Lakers, Dallas, and Charlotte have 2-game weeks kind of late in the season. Those are the 4 teams where you might be like, maybe I move on from my favorite dudes on these clubs. Even though that's sort of 4-2-4 for some of them, but that 2-gamer could end your season. Whereas with the Pacers, you're getting 3 a couple of times out of Haliburton, I think is probably enough for me. Should I trade Zion or just hold on? I wasn't drafting him to begin with, so this one's kind of a tougher one to me because I'm coming from a place of I don't have him. But this is Zion. He's a punt free throw guy. Expecting anything different than what you're seeing right now is a little crazy. Like, he was always going to be a punt free throw guy who was pretty good at field goal percent, which he has been. He's scoring. He doesn't get that many defensive stats, which he hasn't before. Rebounds fine, assists fine. This is sort of who he is. If your team can't handle the punt free throw, then get rid of him. If you can, hold on. I traded Siakam and Herb Jones for Jaren Jackson Jr. Can I get your thoughts on this? So I like the buy low on JJJ. I'm not a huge fan of selling low on Siakam. And Herb is ranked way higher right now, and he's a little bit of a sell high, but not that much. I just think I would have maybe found a different pair if possible. Like, this could work out fine for you, but I think it could have been done a little bit differently. Like, you could have gone Herb and maybe somebody who isn't a sell low, but I guess I'm splitting hairs. I only have one move remaining for this week. Should I target a player that plays Wednesday, Friday, or pick up an in-season tournament player? Bean, you're the only person who knows how full your schedule is on Wednesday, Friday. If you're in overload mode, then you definitely want to go with someone who plays in the NBA Cup. If your Wednesdays and Fridays are not full yet, then you can max them out. Like, if you have open slots on every remaining day this week, then fine. I just sort of find it hard to believe that your Friday won't be full because basically everybody that doesn't play in the semifinals is going to play on Friday. So we know the Pacers are not playing Friday. We know the Pels are not playing Friday. And there will be 2 more teams that don't play on Friday. But it's going to be a 13-game day. Everybody else is going. And more than likely, that means you're going to be in overflow mode. So I think I would probably try to target in-season tournament days. But again, you check your lineup and you'll know better than me. Both Josh Giddey and Oscar Thompson were dropped. Both are well outside the top 150 in points leagues. Are they worth grabbing? And if so, who do I prioritize and why? I would lean towards Thompson. I'm just afraid that some sort of news is going to drop on Giddey, although who knows? Thompson is certainly the better 9-cat guy between the two players. I do think he also eventually sort of rebounds up and gets to do more stuff. Short term, it's probably Giddey for points leagues, but long term, I think it's Thompson. Points leagues, again. Dan, how would Anthony Simons affect Brogdon's value in 9-cat? He's going to take some away from him. And then eventually that's going to be Scoot's job. Brogdon's not going to, they're going to probably try to move him at the trade deadline, I would think. If I'm trying to trade Brogdon, who should I target and what range? I would think that Malcolm ought to be able to get you somebody between 80 and 100 right now. He's playing well. He's number 104 overall on the year, but he's scoring, assisting. Teams love guys that score and assist. And his free throw percent will probably get better. Field goal percent is questionable, but I would think it would get better as well. Targeting a big man, there really aren't that many around him. John Collins is not a traditional big man, but you could almost definitely get him. Maybe you could get Keegan Murray, who's also not a big man, but at least he's getting you 6 rebounds and some steals. I don't think Brogdon's going to be enough to get you Walker Kessler. I don't think he's going to be enough to get you Jalen Duren. I don't think he's going to be enough to get you Mitchell Robinson, but that would be one maybe you could try on. If you're targeting a big man, you probably need to add something else in. If you're targeting a wing or another guard, there are a lot of them around on the board. Just look at the board near Brogdon, and somebody will jump out at you like one of them names. Doing 2 pods back-to-back is, not surprisingly, not great for the voice. We're going to do a couple more questions. Not going to get to all of them. Should I stream Simona Fontecchio if Lowry continues to miss time or Santi Aldama? I prefer Aldama. Are the top 10 or 15 days from Kyrie Irving officially done? No, I think his 45.5% shooting is going to move up. And I also think his steals and blocks will come up as the season goes. So, no, I think he works his way back up into that range. And at some point, Luka's going to miss a couple of all games. We know Luka eventually runs out of gas. Luka missed one last week, and Kyrie was troubling. But Luka always gets out to these fast starts, but then he ends up having to do too much, and his body starts to sort of, I don't say decompose because he's young, but he wears it. He wears it, and you see him wear it. So, no, I think Kyrie's going to be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Someone else asking about Zion. We already asked that one. 9-Cat, De'Aaron Fox or Damian Lillard? I prefer Dame, and he's ahead of him now by 6 slots, mostly because Fox's free throw number has come way down. And then with Fox, I think there's other stuff that might start to taper as well. I don't know how he can take 23, 25 shots every game all season long. Maybe he can, but it feels like it's asking almost too much. Would you say Markelle Fultz is officially a drop in 12-teamers with no more IR space and is no timetable? Yes. I think you can move on from him if you don't have an IR slot, an IR, an IL, or an IR slot, and the most recent news that they have no idea when he's coming back. Can I drop Chris Middleton and Jordan Poole to get Jalen Suggs and Derek Lively? Yeah, I mean, technically those guys have been better, and if your team is struggling, you probably want the guys that are better. It's not insane. Middleton probably slowly continues to ramp up, but I told you 6 weeks ago he was going to be one of the most annoying players to roster this year, and he has been. Are PJ Washington and Jaime Jaquez droppable for a streaming spot? I don't know. If you're in overflow mode this week, you might not have a choice. But if you're not, and you really want to get some extra games, and the answer is yes. But overall, I think these guys still have top 100 range in them because Tyler Hero isn't back yet. I know they were hoping he'd be back this week, but it doesn't sound like it. Maybe. We'll see. But I don't think he traveled. Didn't I see he didn't travel? Hero and Bam didn't travel for their game. And then PJ Washington, probably an easier stream. But again, you know your situation better than I do. If you're at a game's disadvantage in a head-to-head week against somebody else this week, it hurts even more because there just aren't that many games. Would you hold Wendell Carter Jr. or drop for a streaming spot? I would have dropped him weeks ago, but if you held this long, you probably want to keep holding now. I haven't watched your buy low just yet. Who should we try to trade for Jaylen Brown? It's too late now. He was on the buy low show from last week. He just had a massive 30-point performance. You're just not going to be able to get him anymore. It's too late now. Sorry. I know. Bad news, Dan. What a bummer. Let's see here. I need to drop someone to activate Bojan Bogdanovic. Is it DeAndre Hunter, Santi Aldama, Kyle Lowry, or Malik Monk? It's either Aldama or Hunter. It's probably Hunter. He just has no ceiling. Would you trade away Tatum and Mathurin for DeJounte, Banchero, and Cam Thomas? No. Dinwiddie or Gafford in a points league? Oh, that changed it. It's Gafford and 9-Cat. It might be Dinwiddie in points. You probably have to tell me what they're averaging right now in a points league because I don't have that number in front of me. Cat and Strus for Dame Lillard? No. That's an overpay. Cat and Dame are 19 and 20 right now. They're basically deadlocked. Chet for Harden? Nah. I think I'd rather have Chet. Do you feel like what Max Strus is doing is sustainable? So far, we're 6 weeks into the season now, and every damn week he's top 60. He's number 57 right now, so I'm going to continue to say yes until something tells me otherwise. One of my favorite waiver wire guys this year. A lot of analysts said don't hold there, and I said, you guys are freaking crazy. I packaged Horford and Reeves, and I got Jaren Jackson. Well done. That's a cleanup right there. I have Halibut. I know that's Haliburton, but I like that his nickname in this particular post is Halibut. Everybody in the NBA needs a fish nickname. Halibut, Cade, Book, and Keontae. Sir, you need to check your autocorrect before posting these. Are these too many assists? I mean, probably. I don't know. You know who you're playing against. Grade yourself against some of the best teams in your league. Make sure you can beat them in the playoffs, and then you'll get your answer. I traded Fox, Banchero, Aldama for Kyrie, and Kristaps Porzingis in 9-Cat. Who wins this one? The Kyrie and Porzingis side. And I don't think it's all that close, actually. Is Monk must roster? Yes. Points league? Yes. I'm looking for assists in Roto. Would you trade away Jordan Poole and Trey Murphy for D'Angelo Russell? Honestly, yeah, I probably would. Trey Murphy might not be that far behind him, but if you can honestly get yourself off of Jordan Poole, I probably would do it. What to do if a player is too good to be dropped, but it doesn't fit your build and you could pick up guys from the waivers that fit it much better? In this particular case, this poster is saying I have Clay and Jordan Poole, but I need a big man. Mitchell Robinson, Derek Lively, Wendell Carter Jr., all on the wire. Look, you could try to trade Clay and Poole to somebody and try to get like a top one something thing back, but it's going to be tough. Nobody wants those guys right now. So Clay, I think you kind of have to hold on to. He's shown signs of playing a little better. You might be able to move him for somebody inside the top 100 in a week or two. Poole, he's just been awful. And, Mitchell Robinson and Derek Lively look awesome right now. So I know someone's going to go pick him up when you drop him, but also I don't think it's that nuts at this point. Sorry, we're this many weeks in. We're 6.5 weeks into the season. A lot of guys are who they are at this point. Poole will probably get a little bit better, but will it be good enough? Should I add Keontae George and PJ Washington and drop RJ Barrett and DeAndre Hunter? It's a points league. Sure, why the hell not? I mean, I don't think it changes all that much for you. No, hold on to RJ Barrett. I know his minutes have been lower lately, but he's a points league darling. So hold on to Barrett. Hunter versus Keontae George versus PJ Washington. That to me is a full-on wash. Who has better 9-cat value between Trey Murphy and DeAnthony Melton? It's probably Trey Murphy. Keontae George's assists dropped for the past few games. Is it because Lowry's out, or were the 8 assists at the beginning too high? The 8 were too high. He wasn't going to sustain 8 assists. He's still a rookie, and he's not the primary guy on his team. For the last 2, like 8 or 9 shows, so like a week and a half's worth, I've been talking about how Keontae George is an obvious drop in Roto. Head-to-head, he's kind of like a luxury stash at this point because you're playing him because he's doing some stuff, but he's hurting your team more than he's helping right now. I have no problem with folks moving on from George if they don't want to hold all the way to February to see if he starts to get the percentages turned around, because there's at least like a 50-50 shot it never happens this year, and so that's fine. Would you trade Jakob Poeltl and Mike Conley for OG? That's an overpay. You should be able to get OG for Poeltl by himself, and even then, I don't know if I would do it. Conley, I think I probably would. Oh, the Keontae George question was a dynasty league. Yeah, go ahead and hold on to George. I don't think he's going to average 8 assists, but he'll probably be decent in the next year or two. But this one, I think I'd rather have Poeltl than OG. Conley, I would give up. Can you please give a shout out to Paper Route Frank and send wishes for a fantasy league championship? Sure, why the hell not? Good luck, Paper Route Frank. That's hilarious. Thoughts on Killian Hayes? When he moved into the starting lineup last week, I called him a speculative ad, and I will continue to call him that until we know what the hell he's actually going to be. Would you rather have Onyeka Okongwu or Derek Lively? Right now, it's Derek Lively. If Clint Capella goes down, obviously that flips, but Lively's the starter. He's playing nice minutes. His fantasy profile's not that dissimilar from like a Nick Claxton. So, Derek Lively. And we're done. Under 40 minutes on this one, despite the big question and answer session. Thank you for watching both shows today. Get something at Manscaped with promo code Ethos20. And please make sure to go back and just like something I've done, like a YouTube video or a Twitter post, and subscribe if you guys have been enjoying this stuff all season long. We want to keep pushing this thing. We're not that far from 5,000, which is kind of cool. So hopefully you guys can be a part of that. I am at Dan Vespers over on social. And you traditional pod listeners, y'all know I love you. You guys are my OG listeners. You're all the best. Hugs and kisses, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow with a sell high and a recap combo platter for Wednesday. Later for now.